I still remember the exact moment my world collapsed. It wasn't dramatic in the way you might imagine. No screaming, no thrown objects, no confrontation that lasted hours. It was quiet, devastating in its simplicity. I was lying in a hospital bed, my left leg elevated and wrapped in gauze, waiting for my wife to return from the cafeteria when Dr. Patterson came in with that look. The look doctors give you when they're about to tell you something that will alter the trajectory of your entire existence. The infection is more severe than we initially thought, he said, pulling up an X-ray on the screen beside my bed. We're going to need to keep you here for at least another week, maybe longer. The antibiotics are working, but we need to monitor this closely. I nodded, trying to process what this meant. Another week, maybe longer. I'd already been there for 4 days following the accident at work, a forklift malfunction that crushed my leg in 3 places. The pain had been excruciating at first, but the medication had dulled it to a manageable throb. What worried me more was the uncertainty. Would I be able to walk properly again? Would I return to work the same way? These questions had been eating at me since I arrived. My wife, Jennifer, had been amazing those first few days. She was there every morning at 7, bringing me coffee and those terrible hospital pastries I actually looked forward to. She'd sit with me for hours, holding my hand, watching Netflix on her phone, just being present. She'd handle the insurance calls, talk to the doctors, update my family. I felt lucky, honestly. I'd heard plenty of stories from other patients about spouses who disappeared after the initial shock wore off, but not Jennifer. She was a keeper, I thought. I'm going to grab some lunch, she said around noon on that 5th day. You want anything from the cafeteria? They have that turkey sandwich you like. Sure, babe. That sounds perfect, I replied, giving her a smile. Thank you for everything. Seriously. I don't know what I'd do without you. She leaned down and kissed my forehead. You don't have to thank me. That's what marriage is. I'll be back in 30 minutes. She wasn't back in 30 minutes, or 40, or an hour. I figured she'd run into someone she knew or got caught up in line. It happened. I turned back to my phone and scrolled through social media, not really paying attention to anything, just killing time. Around 1:30, I texted her asking if everything was okay. No response for 15 minutes then. Fine. Be back soon. By 2 o'clock, I was starting to wonder what was taking so long. I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. That's when the nurse came in. A younger woman named Sarah who'd been working my case. She had that same uncertain expression I'd come to recognize in hospital staff members. Mr. Richardson, your wife is downstairs. She's asking to speak with someone before she leaves the hospital. Before she leaves, that's an odd way to phrase it, I thought. Can you ask her to come up? She said she'd rather speak with you by phone, Sarah said quietly. My stomach did a flip. Something was very wrong. I had Sarah help me with my phone and I called Jennifer back. She answered on the second ring. Hi, she said. Her voice sounded strange, tight, guilty. Hey, where are you? Are you coming back up? There was a long pause. I could hear the ambient noise of the hospital lobby in the background. I'm leaving, she said finally. Leaving? What do you mean leaving? Did you go to the wrong floor or something? Sarah said you were downstairs. I'm leaving. The hospital. I'm going home. And then, I'm leaving you. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because in that moment my brain couldn't process this as reality. It had to be some kind of joke, some bizarre prank. That's not funny, Jennifer. Just come back upstairs, we can talk. There's nothing to talk about, she said, and now her voice had shifted into something cold. Something I didn't recognize. I know what you did. What I did? Jennifer, I'm in a hospital bed with a shattered leg. What could I possibly have done? The pause that followed seemed to stretch on forever. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, and I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, loud and frantic. I know about you and Amanda, she said. The world stopped. Amanda was Jennifer's best friend. They'd known each other since college. Amanda came to our wedding. She'd been at our house just the previous weekend for dinner. She was like a sister to Jennifer, and she was nothing to me. She was my wife's friend. We'd never been alone together. We'd never even had a conversation without Jennifer present, as far as I could remember. Jennifer, what are you talking about? There is nothing between me and Amanda. Don't lie to me. Not now. Not after everything I've done for you. I found the messages. What messages? Jennifer, I swear to you, I have no idea what you're talking about. But even as I said it, I was trying to figure out what she might have found. Had Amanda texted me? I genuinely couldn't remember. Had someone sent me something that could be misconstrued? I wasn't having an affair. I was absolutely certain of that. But the fear was setting in now, the kind of fear that comes when you realize your entire life is about to change and you don't even understand why. You're living with her, Jennifer continued, her voice now trembling with anger and something else. Hurt, maybe. Or betrayal. You've been living with her for months, apparently. Everyone knows. I'm the last person to find out. Do you know how humiliating that is? Do you have any idea what that feels like? Living with her? I'm not living with anyone. I'm living with you. We own a house together, Jennifer. I'm at work every day. I come home to you. I don't understand what you think is happening. The text was right there. Amanda sent you a message saying she missed you at her place. Hope your leg feels better soon. Can't wait to have you back at our place. Our place, Daniel. She wrote, our place, and then it hit me. The realization came like a lightning bolt, and I actually felt physically sick. Oh my God, I said. Oh my God, no. Jennifer, that's not what that means. Then what does it mean? Explain it to me. I took a deep breath, trying to organize my thoughts. Amanda is letting her cousin stay with her right now, remember? She mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Her cousin moved here for a job and didn't have anywhere to stay yet. I gave him some boxes from our garage, remember that? You were upset that I gave away the boxes you wanted to keep for storage. What does that have to do with anything? That's what she meant. She was probably telling you, or trying to tell you, that I had given her the boxes for her cousin. I missed you at her place. Probably means she wished I could have come by to help set up, or maybe it was just, I don't know. But Jennifer, I'm telling you, I am not having an affair with your best friend. That's insane. I waited for her to respond, but she didn't. I could still hear her breathing, hear the background noise of the lobby. Let me look at the message again, I continued, pressing forward. Ask Amanda about the cousin. Call her right now. She'll tell you the same thing. I already did, Jennifer said quietly. She said she doesn't know anything about it. She said you two don't text. That's when I knew I was dealing with something much bigger than a misunderstanding. This wasn't about a message. This was about something else. Something that had been building, maybe. That I hadn't seen coming. Jennifer, come back upstairs, please. Let's talk face to face. I can explain everything. There's nothing to explain. You've been lying to me. Our entire marriage has been a lie. I'm done. Jennifer, wait. But she'd already hung up. I called back immediately, and this time it went straight to voicemail. I spent the next 3 hours in absolute panic. I called my brother. I called my mother. I tried calling Jennifer repeatedly, getting voicemail every time. I texted her. Nothing. Around 4 o'clock, she finally texted back. I'm staying at my mother's. I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will be in touch. Just like that. 13 years of marriage. Ended in a hospital parking lot. But here's where the story gets complicated, and where I finally understood what had really happened. Over the next week, stuck in that hospital bed with nothing but time and anxiety, I managed to piece together the truth. Amanda did eventually call me, confused and upset. Apparently, Jennifer had confronted her about me, and Amanda had been so shocked and defensive that she'd shut down the conversation completely. Amanda didn't want to get involved in our marital problems, which I understood. But what Amanda also told me was that she'd been sensing something off with Jennifer for a while now. She's been paranoid, Amanda said. About everything. About you. About work. About money. She was convinced you were spending time with me without her knowing. I tried to tell her she was being crazy, but she wouldn't listen. I asked Amanda directly, did I ever text you about anything strange? Anything that could be misconstrued? Amanda hesitated. Actually, now that I think about it, I did send you a message like a week ago, but it was literally just asking if you had some boxes. My cousin needed them. You dropped them off at my place, and I sent you a thank you message. I don't even remember exactly what I said. I definitely didn't say anything inappropriate. There it was. The boxes. That was the entire foundation of my wife's belief that I was having an affair with her best friend. When Jennifer finally agreed to see me, 3 weeks later, after I'd been released from the hospital, I learned even more. She'd been seeing a therapist for anxiety for the past 6 months. The therapist had never suggested, as far as I could tell, that she was potentially experiencing paranoid delusions. Instead, Jennifer had been spinning increasingly elaborate scenarios in her mind. She was convinced that I was emotionally unavailable, that I was spending too much time on my phone, that I was pulling away from her. None of these things were true, but in her mind, they were facts. When that message from Amanda arrived, it became the confirmation she'd been waiting for. It was the proof she needed that her worst fears were real. I needed to protect myself, she told me when we finally sat down to talk. I couldn't be married to someone who was betraying me. But I wasn't betraying you, I said, exhausted and heartbroken in equal measure. I've never betrayed you. I love you. I was going through something difficult with the accident, and I needed you, and all I could think about was how lucky I was that you were there for me. You were using me, she said. I see that now. You needed me because you didn't have her available. There was no reasoning with her. The narrative had become too real in her mind. She'd built an entire alternate reality and had cast me as the villain in it. We did eventually go to marriage counseling, and that's when things started to shift. The therapist was patient but direct. She explained to Jennifer that what she was experiencing sounded like anxiety spiraling into something more serious. With proper treatment, medication adjustments, intensive therapy, she might be able to work through it. But it would take time and commitment. Jennifer resisted at first. She wanted to believe that her version of events was correct, that I was the problem. But slowly, over months, she began to see the pattern. She began to understand that her brain had been playing tricks on her, creating evidence for crimes I'd never committed. It took a year of counseling before she even apologized. And it took another year before I could really trust her again. We've been working on rebuilding our marriage ever since. It's not perfect. There are still moments when she catches herself spiraling, and she has to step back and reality check herself. But we're here. We're trying. The accident that put me in that hospital bed ended up being, in some ways, a gift. Not the crushed leg. That was a nightmare. But the clarity it eventually provided. Without that crisis forcing a confrontation, Jennifer and I might have just kept drifting apart, each of us increasingly convinced that the other person was the enemy. The marriage might have died slowly instead of nearly dying all at once. What I've learned from all of this is that you can never really know what's happening inside someone else's mind. You can't see the thoughts they're spiraling through, the fears that are eating them alive. Jennifer wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying to protect herself from what she genuinely believed was a threat. But in doing so, she nearly destroyed everything we'd built. The life lesson here isn't complicated, but it's crucial. Mental health is health, full stop. When someone you love is struggling, whether it's anxiety, depression, paranoia, or anything else, it's not about taking sides or assigning blame. It's about recognizing that they're suffering and helping them get help. And just as importantly, if you're the one struggling, it's about being honest with yourself and others about it. It's about admitting that your brain might not be trustworthy in that moment, that your thoughts might not reflect reality. Jennifer's journey to recovery taught me that, and it also taught me that love is worth fighting for, even when things get messy and complicated and seemingly unfixable. I almost lost my wife that day in the hospital, not because of betrayal but because of illness. And if I'd given up when she told me she was leaving, I would have missed the opportunity to help her heal, and to heal alongside her.